We are live, February 19th. I have to start saying the date because someone commented on our video, Brian, when we talked about Garrett Wilson and Metcalf, which we recorded a couple weeks ago. They're like, "Oh, you guys said that you weren't sure if Rodgers is going to be a Jet. That's a bad look." It was like, yeah, we recorded that like over 2 weeks ago, I think. So, anyways, it's February 19th. So, if anything seems dated, if you're watching this on, I don't know. 2025. So if you're watching this in 2026, that's why everything sounds a little strange. Anyways, we're here. We're gonna do a little trade show today. We got a bunch of trades that are constantly getting posted in our Discord.
If you are watching it in 2026, let us know if we were right or wrong in the comments.
Yeah, right. Yeah, let us know if how things are going in 2026.
Thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah. So Snipers here says, who's your number one fantasy startup player, non-quarterback?
Startup, is he talking about rookie?
No. This is startup like
I know. I got an answer.
Go ahead.
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I think that's who it is. Chase and Jefferson, one of those two.
Yeah, Chase was it was ungodly. I hope Cincinnati doesn't screw up. Just give him the money, man. The guy deserves it. He's the best in the game. So, geez.
Yeah.
Come on, Bengals.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, the owner's notoriously cheap ass.
I heard something that they have only 4 scouts. I don't know if that I didn't like reference that or cross-reference that, but I heard that they only have like 4 scouts or something.
That might have been in the past or something. That wouldn't surprise me. I know they were the last team to build an indoor practice facility. And that was like Joe Burrow's second year. They were practicing at the University of Cincinnati's indoor practice facility.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
Especially in Cincinnati. Like you can maybe get away with it in, LA or something outdoors, but you're in freaking Cincinnati. Brian, did you answer? Is it Chase?
No, yeah. Yeah, it's Chase or Jefferson. It can go either way.
Yeah. We had this conversation last year. I think Lamb was in the conversation, and like honestly, I wouldn't even be angry if you wanted to have Lamb in the same tier as those guys. But I guess the separation for Chase is like the quarterback situation. Although Jefferson proved that it didn't really matter last year. Although he was he wasn't like quite as good. He was just a little bit more consistent, but maybe not the boom game. So. Yeah, but it's Chase there. It's Chase. He's probably in a super flex. I'd say as soon as you get to the 105, you can start thinking about taking him. So, yeah, that's kind of where I would.
So if you take him at 105, that means in a super flex, that means you're not getting a quarterback at first.
In the first round, yeah. Yeah, so how it is right now, this is from 104 drafts in the last month, essentially. And this website kind of does filter high-quality drafts. It's Allen, Lamar, Jaden Daniels, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow, Hurts, Mahomes. So Chase is actually the 104 here. But, yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer there. But yeah, we are here. Like I said, we're going to be doing a little bit of a trade show. Appreciate the question there, Sniper. If you have any other questions, pop them in the chat. We will definitely get to them. But we're just going.
Tell them who I drafted in our Dynasty League about 3 years ago in the first round.
Who was it?
Najee Harris.
You have first round?
First round.
Oh, God. What the hell? Oh, man. I mean, you go back and look at any drafts, and it's not great.
Yeah.
So things change so much.
It was
Javonte Williams. It's like a second-round pick.
my first dabbling in the Dynasty, and I guess I didn't get the message, and
Well, I mean, it just changes. Like, he was coming off a rookie year where he put up big numbers, and
well, he's had
Javonte Williams was a second-round pick.
4 1,000-yard.
Yeah, it doesn't really mean much anymore.
Yeah, no kidding.
It doesn't. Even when
I
it was
mean-
16-game season, it didn't mean much. It was like 65
Well, yeah,
yards
he
a
only
game.
averages like 3.8 yards a carry. What if he ended up on the Chargers?
People would like him. People would like. He's a decent value right now. Najee.
He doesn't miss games. I know we're not supposed to talk about this, so let's.
No, we're just kind of just talking about whatever. But I mean, he's a decent. I mean, they have him keep trade cut. They have him ranked behind like Tank Bigsby. I'd take Najee over Tank Bigsby.
Yeah, all day
Easily.
long. But
Even J.K. Dobbins, Tajay Spears. Just give me Najee. So for me, it's Dylan Sampson. Sniper, I'm a big Dylan Sampson guy. I have him. I'm going to be putting out a pre-combine rankings, rookie rankings. So my tier 1 is Ashton Jeanty. My tier 2 is Omarion Hampton and Travion Henderson. And then I'm tempted to put Sampson, Caleb Johnson, and Quinshon Judkins all in that tier 3. But Scadaboo's not that far behind. He's gonna probably not perform well at the combine. He's gonna run like a high 4.5 or low 4.6.
yeah, but he's a football player, though.
Yeah, but the things he does will translate to the NFL. Scadaboo, that is, he pass blocks, he breaks tackles, and he catches the ball. He's one of the better pass catching guys in this draft. Looking at the guys who can kind of do it all. Obviously, there's some pass catching specialists, but so I like them both. I lean Sampson though. I'm pretty high on him. I'm tempted to put him in my top 5 there. But yeah, we're here. We're going to be talking some trades. Again, all these trades were posted in our Discord. If you want to join our Discord, I will leave the link to it. I know, Sniper, you joined not too long ago. But yeah, join it. It's free. You can post trade questions. You can get, if you want your team reviewed, we can set that up in there. You can talk about whatever you want. We'll put together other sports channels on there if you want to talk basketball, baseball, any of that. And obviously, when we go live, we do live rookie drafts, live startup drafts, and we'll put together some listener leagues as well. Starting in just a couple of weeks, we'll start getting those together. So join there. Looking at is a 12-team PPR Superflex Start 11. So you're starting 132 guys, is that right? Side A gets Alvin Kamara in the 109. Side B gets the 104, the 212, and a 2026 third. Brian, I'll let you go first here. Which side are you leaning?
I like side B. I like moving up those 5 spots. Throw yourself up in the mix. You should have a decent shot at, basically either quarterback, Tet, RB2, whatever you want, Mr. Tight End. I like using Alvin Kamara to move up to that spot and kind of pick up some extra pieces along the way.
Yeah, probably looking at, like you said, maybe Tet falls. Like where we are right now, it feels like that's going to be Jeanty, Tet, and Omarion Hampton. So you're probably looking at wide receiver 2, RB3, QB1, tight end 1.
Yeah, it's super flex. So.
Yeah, quarterbacks aren't. They're most drafts they're going like the second half of the first round. To be honest,
but if you need a quarterback, why would you? Yeah.
No, it's fine. That's why I said it's so. I gave them options. It's probably going to be just where we are right now. A lot's going to change, but it's probably where we are now. It's RB3, wide receiver 2, QB1, tight end 1. That's like your options, most likely. Of course,
the 104, right?
That way. Yeah, it might not fall that way. So, but the RB3 is great in this draft. RB3 for me is Travion Henderson. He probably would have been RB1 in last year's draft. And which side do you like there, Dad? Camaro 109, 104, 212, 220.
I like moving up. so the 104, I can, Kamara, I don't know. New Orleans doesn't have much. Let's say that, but I mean, this guy's been around for a long time. He missed a lot of games last year, but I know he had a lot of, didn't he have a lot of pass receptions?
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, Kamara always does.
Yeah, he didn't have very many touchdowns though, did he?
I know he had over 65 catches, and then total touchdowns, I'm not sure. 8.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't. No,
Total touchdowns.
it doesn't matter. It's I'm
Yeah,
sorry, you need to.
He only
time to
missed the
move
last
on.
2 games of the fantasy season, basically, too.
How many?
Just the last 2. He missed 16, 17, 18. But most people don't play in 18.
And even with that, he had his best total yardage season since 2020, his best touchdown season since 2021. And then, his second best reception season since 2020. So, I mean, if he's going to be there and healthy, he's going to produce still, because the pass catching is always going to be there. If you guys are watching, you can let us know in the chat what you think as well, if what side you would take. But you also got to weigh, there's an outside chance that the Saints take Ashton Genty, that Kellen Moore's their head coach. What are they just won the Super Bowl, largely off of, at least getting to the Super Bowl, largely off the back of Saquon. What if they feel like, hey, I'm going to get my Saquon for the Saints, and Genty could be there at the 9, or Kellen Moore can bring in one of his own, draft another guy in the second round. So it's almost like getting value for Kamara too, who's a potential expiring asset. So, I like B-side. I like B-side. I think what's interesting here, though, is I do think A-side's decent, just because I know he's talking about it. I do want to trade back potentially from the 104, 103 and go to the 108, 109 and pick up pieces. But, I don't mind the move up either. So, also, it is a start 11. So slightly deeper. So that does make the 212 a little bit more valuable. That does make a 2026 third slightly more valuable than shallower leagues, at least. Any other thoughts there?
No.
Now, what do you think? What do you think Genty's going to run?
I think he'll run probably in the 4.4s.
I think maybe close to 4.5.
Yeah.
If he runs a 4.4,
I think he's mid to low 4.2 if I remember correctly. I know it's not official.
4.2.
Sorry, mid to low 4.4, not 4.2. No, he's not that fast. So mid to low 4.4. Again, they estimate it. You can do all the
right
speed and stuff. So I'd be actually surprised. I'd be more surprised if he ran in the 4.5s than if he ran a 4.1 or something.
He runs a 4.45. I think everybody's going to jump out of their seat.
Yeah, he's not super big, tall. He's thick, but
we don't want tall running backs.
No, I know he's short even for running. He's 5'9", so that's
that's.
I think most
size.
running backs are 5'10" to 5'11", 6 foot. But yeah, no, he's awesome.
You want running backs running low, not upright.
He's in play to me as soon as pick 6, that's where the Raiders. I don't think Tennessee, Cleveland, Giants, or the Patriots are going to take him. I don't think. And then Jacksonville, probably not, but he's kind of in play as soon as the Raiders are on the clock at 6. He could go 6, he could go 9, 10. He can go a lot of places.
If there's a quarterback available at 6, the Raiders are going to take him.
Yeah, probably.
So Shedeur, comes to mind.
Yeah. We got a big one here. We got a 12-team PPR Superflex start 11, so another start 11 here. We got side A gets Devontae Adams, Jonathan Taylor, the 108, and a 2026 second. Side B gets Devonta Smith, Isaiah Pacheco, Jaden Reed in the 2026 second as well. I think I got that right too. I don't think I added the second. Anyways, I might have added that extra second there, but let's just say that obviously those cancel out. So it comes down to like Devontae Smith versus Devontae Adams. We want Smith. JT over Pacheco.
Definitely.
And so is the difference between, obviously you'd want the 108 over Reed. Is the difference between those making up for the difference between, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest win here is the JT side, right?
Absolutely.
Or is the 108 over Reed bigger? What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I'd say the 108 over Reed is probably bigger. I don't know. I didn't really think about it that way. I definitely like side A better. It's still similar depth of rosters. And you're basically trading two guys for three, more or less, but you're picking up that 108, which I don't mind because that's only going to appreciate, obviously Devontae Adams is kind of on his way out, but still good,
Just think if he ended up on the Chargers.
Everyone on the Chargers. So I was going to ask if we fast forward in a year and everyone does what we're expecting. So JT's a potential top 5 running back, low end at the worst. Pacheco is maybe a low end RB2. Jaden Reed is that like boom bust wide receiver 3. We see the comments. I'll get to them in just a second here, guys. But then Devontae Adams is just like, he's old, he's done. Like he did nothing. He was, I don't know, name a player who just like an older player who busted this year. Does that mean that side A loses, or do they still potentially win that trade? I guess it depends on who's the 108.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's like side A is definitely a little bit more of a win now move with, kind of the juice of the 108. Cause I mean, I'm just thinking if you take that side and you take that 108 and that second, what can you get for that? Like you can probably get a pretty good player. So I don't really see how that side loses.
Yeah, I think I agree. I'm also a little bit worried about Pacheco. I think the Chiefs add a weapon to their offense. I know they have Rice and Worthy, but beyond that, they don't really have much explosive, good young weapons. Kelsey could retire. Hopkins is retiring. Juju, I doubt he has a contract beyond this year. And anyways, he's old. Like they don't have much beyond that. And Pacheco is a nice player, but I don't know if he's like an explosive type of player. And I'm not even basing it off of like, oh, he looked bad and Kareem Hunt outplayed him. I think that was more the injury stuff, but I am a little bit worried about Chiefs potentially. I see them, it's just mock drafts, but I see them mocking a lot of mocks of them taking a running back at the end of the second. And I think that running back is probably going to be better than Pacheco. So yeah, for that worry there, and I'm kind of low on Pacheco, I definitely go the A side there. And I think, again, you could probably still win that trade if Devontae Adams is not necessarily like, he's just kind of like he got old this year. I think you could still potentially win that if you hit on the 108. So couple questions here. James says he's in a 3-quarterback league. How would you feel about having Baker May? I almost read it as Baker Mayfield. That threw me off. Baker, Drake May, and Jalen Hurts. I'd feel awesome if I had those as my quarterbacks. I'm kind of curious the best.
How many teams?
Yeah, how many teams, James? Is it like an 8-team, or it feels like an 8 or 10-teamer to have those 3 guys?
Yeah, I mean Baker could have been. He was essentially free 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible that happened. Oh, 12-team. Wow.
He said it's a 12-team.
And
it has to be
And
Go ahead.
it's a start 3 quarterback. Like, that's rough.
Seems like it. I mean, not rough for James when he has those 3.
Yeah, that's a big leg up for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Hurts kind of proved doubters wrong. Like, he just won the freaking Super Bowl and looked damn good doing it. He looked good in the other Super Bowl. He probably should have been MVP in the Super Bowl they lost, by the way, a couple years ago. Baker, I don't think he's going to be what he was last year, but like, I consider him as my QB3 here, with the potential to be better than May, of course. But that's how I look at it. So yeah, it's a start 2 and a super flex. It looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel great about that. That's an
Yeah.
awesome QB room.
It could get a little scary with Baker after this year, but no, yeah, I think you're pretty good.
You mean just age wise or contract or
Contract? I mean, his contract's actually not that bad. Well, I mean, I'm just looking at 2026. His cap hits 45 mil, but his dead cap's only 17. So
that's a bargain for a quarterback in 2 years, most likely.
Yeah, Brock Purdy's going to get 60 mil.
Yeah, exactly. They were the Bucks were so smart with that contract of Baker. Like, it was
Well,
like,
they gave him an opportunity. It's like,
well, yeah, but he was good in 2023. They said, all right, we'll give you this deal. And it's essentially a 1-year deal, but if you're good again, it turns into a 3-year deal for us and at a pretty good price, 35 million and 45 million. And if he busted, you could have just gotten out of it after year 1. So like, it was genius. It was what the Giants should have done with Daniel Jones, but we didn't. Corey says he would like to up tier from Zay Flowers and a start 10 super flex. I'm looking to go after CD on the trading block, BTJ, Nico, or London. I have the 102, 108, and plus all future picks. Any thoughts on who to go after and what's a fair price? So any of those guys I would go after. I would order it CD. I would order it how you wrote it, I think. CD,
the order
BTJ.
you would go after them.
Yeah, I mean, BTJ Nico is interesting. I probably lean BTJ, but and then Nico London. Why you disagree?
No, I was just wondering if that's what you meant. Like, I mean, price wise, it's got to be basically London, and then I would think Lamb, and then the other 2 are kind of like right after him.
For how expensive they are?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, cheapest to most expensive.
Oh, cheapest.
Yeah.
Okay. You think Lamb's cheaper than Nico?
I'm thinking he can be, because he put in there that he's on the trading block. That doesn't necessarily mean cheap, but I wouldn't be entirely surprised.
I'd be surprised if CD was. I mean, they're the same age. We've seen an incredible season by CD, like one of the best receiving seasons we've ever seen. And was still good last year. He was still good last year. I think
he was still good, yeah, but
I know, but 2 years ago, like, so if you would have reversed it, we'd be a lot higher on CD, right? Like if he had his.
That's why you have contract years.
I mean, CD was still wide receiver 7 last year in points per game. I think that would shock a lot of people to hear that. Obviously, he missed the last 2 games, so he's still wide receiver 8 in total points in PPR. So I don't know. I'd be shocked if Nico was more expensive. Anyways, I'd be happy with any of those guys. My order is CD, number 1, BTJ, Nico, London, and I'd go as high as doing Flowers in the 102 to get any of those guys, really. Definitely for CD or BTJ. Slightly more hesitant on doing that for Nico or London. I don't know. What do you guys think is fair to go after? Let's just go with let's just say CD and BTJ are like the same value wise. Are you okay with Flowers in the 102 in getting one of those guys?
I mean, that's probably what you got to pay for them. And yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't even know if that gets it done, honestly.
Probably not.
Yeah. I think you're probably going to have to throw in that probably that 110 also.
And I would. It's a start 10. So assuming it's a 12 team, it's just Zay Flowers. Like, what is he gonna be? Like on that offense.
What he's going to be.
What's that?
I think we've seen what Zay Flowers is going to be. So he's not going to have
a
this.
Raven.
Huh?
As long as he's a Raven, yeah.
Yeah. And plus, I don't. You're not going to have a Jamar Chase, CD Lamb over the top year out of Zay Flowers. I don't think.
No. I'd be surprised if he was like top 15 in points per game, to be honest.
I'd be surprised if he got 100 catches in a year.
Oh, yeah. I don't even think he's close to that. If he was top 15 in points per game, he could finish top 15, because he plays every game or something. But if he was top 15 in points per game, I'd be a little bit surprised. Like, I'm not surprised, but I'd be like, all right, I'm happy with that. Like, you're a wide receiver 15. I better check what he was this year before I put my foot in my mouth. Wide receiver 36.
Yeah, I was just looking at him and scoring.
36 in points per game. So,
yeah, I think that 102. I was actually looking at where Nico was ranked on Keep Trade Cut. I guess I'm not surprised. Like when I see the guys in front of him, I'm surprised there's as much of a gap between him and Lamb. But he did miss a lot of games last year. Maybe that really like soured him. But I just felt like he was just so on fire. Maybe I thought he got a little better than or a little higher than he did, and maybe he did at that time. But we're pretty far removed from that. But that 102. And
real quick, you mentioned you felt like he was on fire, and I don't know if he left the game early or CD as well. They average the same amount of points per game, Lamb and Nico,
in the first 5 weeks.
No, on the season.
Oh, yeah.
Lamb and Nico. I'm saying they averaged the same amount of points last year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you were talking about the first 5 weeks, I guess. Sorry.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like he started off on fire. So, and I felt like he was pretty good when he came back too. But yeah, I mean that 102 plus Flowers to get Nico that might be doable.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, I would do that. And for London, I'm okay with it. It definitely more of a risk, like because essentially, like let's just say you're taking Tet at the 102, like there's a decent chance that Tet's just better than London. He's going to be potentially drafted higher than him. But yeah, honestly, I wouldn't mind. Like, I'm okay taking that risk just because, again, like I'm not too worried about losing Flowers. I like the player. If he's on a lot of other teams, like he's a lot better. It's just we haven't seen a wide receiver consistently be good with Lamar. And like I think the best we've seen was like Hollywood Brown in 2021 as like a top 24 guy barely, So I honestly don't think like you're losing much in the sense of like if you're consistently starting Flowers, he's probably not winning you much. He's a solid player to have, but so yeah, I'm fine with those guys. Is there anyone else that we're missing in that group? Puka? I mean, I don't know if you have him already, and that's why you didn't list him, but I'd throw Puka in that group. Amon-Ra pretty easily. Obviously, the top three guys, and Neighbors and Chase and Jefferson. So, yeah, if you want to throw a 2026 first, that's fine, especially if you think you're going to compete, which I assume you would be with one of those guys. I do think the 2026 class is a little bit deeper as of now in more valuable positions, quarterback and wide receiver, but I don't necessarily think it's deeper for just guys that are going to help you on a year-to-year basis. So who's your favorite out of there, Dad? CD, BTJ, Nico for London?
Yeah, I think the two middle guys, Brian Thomas Jr. and Nico, I'd be okay to maybe lessen the impact of the trade. But if you're going to go large, obviously go CD, and give up whatever assets that you think. If that's 2 first rounders,
Mm-hmm.
then
Easy, yeah. Easy.
uh,
That's easy for me.
yeah, a couple first rounders, I think that would, to me, that'd be the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Surprised you're a little bit like with the Nico thing. I'm like checking if I know he was on fire to like start the year, and I don't know. It's just like that CD Lamb season was like special, like very special. I just think it's like we can easily move on from that, and still to put up 100 catches and 1,200 yards with I don't know how many games he played with Rush, but I don't know. It feels like maybe CD could be a sneaky buy low, like in terms of like I'm still considering should he still be in that tier with like Chase and Jefferson. I'm closer to that than him being in a tier with Nico, but I like Nico, and he has the contract, and I don't know, the quarterback situations are a wash. Maybe there's a slight edge for someone. So, how do we feel about JT and his future production?
We made a video about that.
We did make a video about that. Posted it last week, I think. But no, we're big fans of JT. He was running back 5 last year in points per game. Like I think that's kind of sneaks up on people. He obviously he had an incredible finish to his season. If that offense can ever get going and produce, like that's that he could have a 15 touchdown season, and that's kind of all he was missing to be in contention of like a top 3, top 1, RB1 type of guy last year. He was that good. So I think he's going to be good for the next probably 2 years. I'm counting on him. I think me and Brian talked about this, Dad. The 105 or Jonathan Taylor. So the 105, you're looking at still one of the QB1s, maybe QB2, maybe tight end 1, RB3 or 4, wide receiver 2. Which side are you taking there, 105 or Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah, I would try to replace him if I did, and if I can get I want to see where these top 3 or 4 running backs, what teams they end up in. I'm starting my own little list of teams that need a running back and then are going to utilize them correctly. And that's like Pittsburgh and Denver and the Chargers, that are actually going to get something. So when I see, these guys go, Genty and Hampton and the guy from Iowa, and I see him go to these teams, I'm like, yeah, I'm that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Do you think Denver's going to use a running back correctly?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Sean Payton was like every year in New Orleans was like gold for running backs, like multiple running backs too, and he just hasn't been
Mike, did you agree with me?
With the 105?
That Denver would utilize if they got one of these rookie running backs.
Oh, yeah. I think he just haven't been able to kind of find their guy.
The Raiders, to a certain point.
There's so many good teams.
Because unless they get a quarterback, they're gonna need to run the ball. And
Bo Soxer's here. He said he'd take JT over the 105. Yeah, we kind of were like, there's no wrong answer there, and just kind of presented why would you do that, right? Like why? Because there's a very good chance you're not getting someone as good as JT at the 105. A very good chance. The reason why you potentially do it is you kind of just like reset JT potentially, and you get someone younger that JT right now is, according to the community, the RB9, right? Because he fell below, Genty pushed him down one. So he's the RB9. It's going to be hard for JT to get into that top tier of guys. Now, if he has a Saquon-like season, that's what he's going to need to do. Like Saquon's 28 years old, and he's RB4 because of his massive season. So, like, even if JT does what he did last year, again, he's still going to float around this range. And so there's probably, you have a slightly better chance maybe of the 105, that player getting into that top tier of guys and increasing that value to where they become a super valuable piece. Whereas like JT, he'll be 27 after next year, but that's going to keep him down a bit. Like he has to have a massive year. So there's really no wrong answer. I would be surprised if you did get someone better in 2025 at the 105 than JT. But it's more about like who can get into that like upper echelon of untouchables, and really increase their value. So yeah, it's an interesting question. I feel like it's kind of about even for him, the 105. So kind of a fun thing to toss around. Keep the questions, comments coming. Appreciate you, Corey. No problem. Make sure to hit the like button, guys, if you haven't checked our like total. We're at 6 likes, so we can get a few more there. But let's get to the next one. I think this is the next one we did this side. Yeah. So we have a 12-team PPR Superflex start 13. That's a massively
Really
deep. I keep saying massive. What's that? 156, Brian? You're the math guy. It's 156, right? 12 times 12 is 144.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Still got it. The 103 and David Montgomery or the 101. So we're talking Ashton Genty, again, as of right now, February 19th, 2025. Ashton Genty or Amarion Hampton, who's a lot of people's RB2, and David Montgomery. Dad, I know you're biased here, so I'll let you start. Or let's just it could be Amarion. Really, it could be anyone. It could be wide receiver 1, RB2, QB1, tight end 1. That's what we're looking at here. Or wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
It could be Genty. What if the guys in front of him need quarterbacks?
Yeah, no kidding.
Really badly.
Yeah.
Well,
honestly, I've watched it real quick. I just watched a lot of content. I don't think I've ever seen Genty not go 101 in anyone's like mock drafts. It could be. He would have to fall to like the late first or something.
Okay, what if he turns into something like Breece Hall?
Well, yeah, but we don't know that.
No, of course we don't know that. So
he could. No, he could. Look, position. That's what I keep saying when I do the rookie mocks. Is like I think quarterbacks are going to go higher than what we are all planning on it on February 19th. But because the positional value, the QB, if he becomes the QB 12, he's going to be more valuable than Genty, unless Genty's like a top 5 running back consistently. So
I have the 104 in our dynasty, and guess what I need? A freaking quarterback.
Yeah, no, you're fine, but it's Genty. Right now it's Genty. The 101 is Ashton Genty. It's not, especially if he goes top 10, especially if he goes to the Cowboys at 12.
That's not who exactly what I want to take, but on here, I don't know, man. I think I like side A. You're still gonna have you're gonna have another good year with David Montgomery. I see, you're gonna have a lot of touchdowns, and 1,000 yards and stuff. And I know he's got a split with Gibbs and everything else, but and we've seen what the Lions did with Gibbs. What Gibbs did with the Lions when Montgomery's out. So, everybody's kind of leaning towards Gibbs, but I'll take that 103 in Montgomery.
By the way, Amarion Hampton, who's the RB2 for me and for a lot of people, is like a legit stud. Like he'd be the RB1 in a lot of drafts. Like the dude's awesome. He's fast. He's big. He can catch. He can pass.
He's had
he's really damn good.
1,500-yard seasons in a row.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. Like, so it's not like a, just a consolation prize type of thing. So, Brian, I want to get your thoughts because I have a thought about Montgomery here because I originally went side A as well, but now I'm like rethinking this. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to turn down, getting a no doubt about it starter in this deep of a starting format. They just paid him, so I like that. I think I don't have any reason to think that Montgomery's not going to be on the team. Although I'm looking at like his contract stuff up here, and it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
he just signed in the middle of the season for a few more years.
Yeah, I know, and like his cap's not that bad. I don't know. Sometimes I get a little lost in these contracts and stuff, but I lean towards side A.
Yeah, it's good you brought up because I almost forgot it was a start 13 because that's originally why I went side A because again, you need starters. Like depth is art. We talked about Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is important in this league. He's not important in a 12-team start 10, unfortunately, unless he takes it to the next level. In a 12-team start 13, he absolutely is. Montgomery is important. So you're getting 2 for 1, and you're getting really good players potentially. Like you're literally moving back 2 spots. I'm starting to doubt we've been team Montgomery in redraft the last 2 years. Like, why is he going so low? And we've been basically right the last 2 years. I'm starting to get a little bit like he's going to be 28 this year. He turns 28 in June. That's fine. A new offensive coordinator is coming in, right? Could that, and just how good Gibbs was. I know they're never going to move away from like Gibbs is a 80% of the snaps guy. That's never going to happen. But I'm going to double check this, but I'm pretty sure while Montgomery was healthy, it was like essentially like a 50-50 split, maybe like 55-45 type of thing. And it kind of looks like what it is for most, if you average it out for the first 10, 13 weeks or whatever. Does it start to become a 60-40, a 65-35, hell, even a 70-30 type of split? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, they weren't even using Gibbs 70% of the snaps when Monty was out. But new offensive coordinator, if the Lions put up 15 points in week 1 or whatever, you're going to hear like, oh, the offensive coordinator and Ben Johnson. And if that stretches out for a month and the offense is struggling a little bit, which it very well, it might, because new offensive coordinators coming in, it's tough sometimes. And then does that lean you to like, damn, I need to get Gibbs on here because he's going to save my job or he's going to like help me? I don't know. I'm just having these thoughts where like, if this were the time, if it were to happen, this is the year I think that it could happen. And I didn't feel that way the last 2 years. So just my thoughts there because Gibbs is so damn good.
I think the goal line stuff, and I don't actually have those splits in front of me, but I think that's what would save Montgomery's bacon, fantasy wise, especially in this format. But I think the only hesitation I would have is, do I think I could get a little more? Like if you're the one offering the 101 for that, I'd go a little bit higher. Like at least ask for something else, even if it's just like a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
I think I would try and aim a little higher, but I think I'd be okay with making the deal as it stands. And if you have the 101 and you're getting offered this, I would definitely ask for like a 2-3 swap and then just take the 3rd. Meaning you get the 2nd. Like I would just try and juice it.
What if JNT goes to the Cowboys 12th overall?
Yeah, that's rough.
Change anything for because that's where everyone mocks him. Like that's where he's gonna go. Or he goes to the Bears. He pairs up with Ben Johnson, who just made Gibbs and Montgomery awesome. He goes to the Bears. I think they pick at like 9 or 10. Like, what if he goes there? Like, he could move into like he's already RB3. Like that's people's perception of him, and all we've been hearing about is JNT, like we've just been it's kind of annoying. Like that's all we've been hearing about for the last, at least I have for the last month. So you're talking about the splits, and obviously, if I remember correctly, they weren't like taking Gibbs out. Dad, you can obviously you watch like all the Lions games. Like if Gibbs was in on that drive, they wouldn't necessarily take him out at the red zone.
No,
but I
they
could be
wouldn't.
wrong.
They did not. They didn't.
I
Yeah, they
see.
didn't. Yeah, you're right. They didn't.
So the splits I see is Gibbs had 50 carries in the red zone, so that's 20 yards in. Monty had 49, so Monty probably had a few more, per game, because he missed 3 games or something.
Yeah.
And then inside the 10, from anywhere from the 1 to the 10-yard line, Gibbs had 26, Monty had 33. So slightly more in Monty's favor, but it definitely wasn't like 2 years ago where it seemed to be all Montgomery. It's interesting. It's interesting because the start there, if this is a 12-team start 10, it's Ashton Genty pretty easily. 10-team, start 10, 12-team, start anything under a 10, maybe even a start 11, but the start 13 really makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts there? Or
No.
should we move on? All right, we'll do a couple more here. We'll be live for about 15 more minutes. So any other questions, of course, leave them in the chat. So we got a 12-team PPR Superflex start 11. We got Ladd McConkey or the 106, Nico Collins, and a 2026 second. This one's kind of easy for me. Brian, I'm going to let you start because you are a Nico Collins fan.
What about me?
You can start too if you
No,
want.
no, go ahead. Go ahead, Brian.
I let you start last time because you're a Monty lover. I'm a Monty lover too.
Yeah, but you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah. I like Nico. I like Nico and the second.
Interesting.
I think 12 team start 11, not it's kind of like in one of those in between spots. The PPR definitely makes it closer. But I think tearing up to Nico from Ladd, I'll do it.
Interesting.
You want to hear me?
Yeah.
Now let's move on.
I ain't giving up. I don't think there's that. And you can prove me wrong, but I'm just going off the top of my head type stuff and in the eyeball test. I don't think Nico is that much. He's good. He's not that much better than Ladd McConkey. And so I'm definitely sticking with A.
Brian, you mentioned start 11. Were you saying that because you thought it wasn't quite deep enough for you to make the...
I was just saying it's kind of in between, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not 12 teams start 12. It's kind of right there in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't consider it a deep or a shallow league kind of.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's kind of like the transition I feel like happens, like the 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. No, I agree. We always think of like 12 teams start 10 as like average. Below that is starting to get shallow. But yeah, like 11 is like, obviously you're trending towards deep. But yeah, I'm side A here kind of easily. Bo Soxer's with you, Brian. He's taken side B. I think I thought it was kind of easy side A for me because now here's what I'll say about the Ladd versus Nico. I think their floors are very similar, but I do think Nico has a higher ceiling. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans get their shit together and protect CJ Stroud, who is kind of like Jared Goff when he gets pressured. He's not very good. Sorry for the Jared Goff shot there, but it's just anyways.
Yeah, about the Mahomes.
Yeah, well, there's like pressure, and then there's just like you're in his face 1 second in. So I do think Nico has I wouldn't be surprised if Nico has a top 5 wide receiver season coming up in the next 2 years. I'd be pretty surprised if that was McConkey. I do think the Chargers are going to bring in more weapons. I think McConkey, like what he did last year, I think is kind of what I'd expect out of him year to year.
I think the Charger pass game early on was not very good because remember Herbert had a bum ankle.
Yeah,
They were kind of winning games, with low scores and stuff like that, and then about mid-season things started picking up a little bit.
yeah, definitely week 8 you see the change in kind of McConkey's game log there. So averaged almost 90 yards a game and almost 6 catches a game from week 8 onwards with half a touchdown. But it's the 106 here for me. Like it is, although it is not quite deep like we in a couple others, depth still does matter a little bit more. And the 106 is probably going to be a good starter again. You could potentially get the QB1 in this draft at the 106. Like, does that change it for you at all? Like, if I'm telling you, oh, you got the number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward, QB1 at the 106, like, does that shift it for you there, Brian? Or still
I'm definitely feel better about it, but that also means, that the league's not valuing the quarterbacks. It's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way.
They're not valuing these quarterbacks, maybe quarterbacks in general, but that would change if he's on. A lot of people didn't value Bo Nix last year. Like, I think I was saying he should go at like the 108, the latest 108, 109 range. And a lot of times he was falling later than that, which I understand, but I don't know. Like if that QB1 comes out and looks good, like I think that all goes away. I don't know. I just think the 106 is still a really good player. You're talking RB3/4, QB1 or 2, wide receiver, maybe even wide receiver 2 in this class because it's so running back heavy. Like tight end 1 is in play here. Like there's it's a good range of guys in my opinion. So I like the lad in the 106. I'm okay with it, but I do acknowledge Nico has more upside than Lad. Mr. Lad McConkey. And there is the idea that once the Chargers do bring in another weapon, the value of Lad goes down. But
yeah, I think he'll play a little better not being once he's not the guy to target, defensively. I think
he doesn't have a problem getting open, that's for sure.
I do worry about his health, and it was an issue in college. He was beat up last year. I know he only missed like a game, but you would guess he missed 2 or 3 just from all the news of like, oh, Lad's questionable and stuff like that. People always say like, oh, he's going to be Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's built, man. He's like 6'2", 210. Lad's like 6 foot 190 or something. Like and you just look at them like Cooper Kupp's like, oh yeah, like Lad McConkey looks like he potentially, he's a senior in high school or something sometimes when you see him. Just like he's good, he gets open, but I do worry about where he's going to make his money too over the middle of the field. So, but Nico was hurt this year. Like anyone can get hurt. So, I think we'll do one more here, and then if anyone has any questions, you can leave them. But we got a 16 team, 1 quarterback because you can't really do super flex on a 16 teamer. Start 9, so that's a 12 team start 12. I did the math on my calculator, so it is deep, even though it's just a start 9. Dad, I'll let you start here, but it's a 105, 108, and the 110 versus Jahmyr Gibbs. Where are we going? 105, 108. It is a 1 quarterback. I don't think that really changes the 105 projection range, but where are we going here? Dad, I'll let you start since you're biased. But remember, it's real quick. It is a 12 team, like start 12. So it's a equivalent in terms of it's a 16 team start 9. That's equivalent to a 12 team start 12.
I'm gonna stick with the known commodity and go with Gibbs.
Yeah, Brian.
I think it can be team composition will probably play a decent like an important part of the puzzle. I think like turning Gibbs into 3 potential starters in a format like this, that could be really good, but at the same time, if you're only starting 9 guys, like you're not going to replace Gibbs most likely with like there's a very slim chance you'll replace them with one of these guys, but you're diversifying. So it's kind of hard. It depends on like what's on your team, I would say.
So 105 again. I don't think in a potentially now a quarterback could definitely go in the first 5 picks, but there's a good chance even in a super flex they don't. So 105, we're looking at again just looking at the last rookie mock that I did, which it's going to depend on landing spots and stuff, but potentially if you play in a tight end premium, which this wasn't listed, so I assume it's not. Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren, you're looking at RB3 potentially, probably RB3. Wide receiver 2 is going to be in play. At the 108, maybe wide receiver 3 in this draft class, maybe it's still one of those top 5 running backs in like a Caleb Johnson, Travion Henderson range. Man, it's a tough one. It's really, really tough. I'm just gonna assume like these teams are, approach it from in a vacuum type of thing, right? But
yeah, middle of the road. If you're middle of the road, I'll take the picks.
Yeah, this is really hard. This is really, really hard. Because like a 12-team start 10, you're potentially getting 3 starters there. Now it is 1 quarterback, but even if I take these quarterbacks out, like there's going to be 2. I would be surprised if there's 3 in the top 10 in a super flex league. So we're only taking 2 guys out. It's not like last year where there was potentially 6 going in the top 10, and that really affects it from a super flex to a 1 quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I think it was 4 pretty steadily.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, you could make an argument for. I mean, in my opinion, Nick should have gone. Oh, so you're saying McCarthy and Penix didn't get in there, right?
No.
Penix definitely didn't.
Yeah. I'm saying McCarthy did and Nix didn't.
Okay, so one of those guys then. So probably 4 for sure, maybe 5. Because McCarthy wasn't hurt at that point. So, like you're still looking at decent players. Like you're still looking at, Emeka Buka at the 110. I mean, Dylan Sampson. We don't know landing spots, and a lot's going to change. But Jack Besh, I don't know. I think I lean the A side just because it's a start. It's a start.
I think tight ends are gonna. People don't want to draft a tight end early. I think, and because I don't think they think they're sexy. It's not like a running back and maybe you don't get this same immediate big large impact, like you did with Brock Bowers. But but I think again in the right situation, Loveland and the Penn State tight end, those guys are going to be there too. But I don't know where they're projected to be going and stuff like that. And
it's really tough because the format, start 9, which means you want so the 16 teams makes players scarce, and the start 9 make the top tier players more valuable. And so having that combination of having one of those guys on your team. I mean, Bo Soxer is basically kind of saying what I said in the comments here, where he said, I'd take A if my team sucked. As I'm saying, like if I'm middle of the pack or less, I'm just taking the picks.
You should be able to get at least 2 starters out of that.
I don't know, in a start 9. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to know. Like,
yeah, but again, it is 16 teams, so you got to imagine like those players are spread out a little bit
right?
more.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's really like team composition. Like, let's say, like, what if you were the 110, right? And you had these other picks.
Through middle,
right?
Just missed the playoffs, or maybe you made it.
Yeah, you might have made it. Who knows? I mean, it might be a 16 get in or something like that. But if you are the 110, let's say you're the 110 and you didn't make the playoffs, you probably just want to stick with Gibbs. Like, I know that's not feasible in this scenario, but I'm just kind of throwing a number out there.
Yeah. I was trying to look back at the team we reviewed that was a deeper league. I can't remember what it was. I'm looking through chats and stuff. It was like a 12-team start 12 or something, but we looked at like, the WAR chart and we looked at the WAR chart and the difference between we reviewed a very shallow league and a very deep league in the same night. And like the shallow league, you want the top tier guys. And we looked at the deeper league and even RB 24, wide receiver 30, they were like making an impact, so that's why this makes it so tough. If it's anything, if it's a 12-team start 11, again, this is in terms of how many you're starting 144 guys. So anything less than that, it's kind of an easy Gibbs for me. But yeah, I lean side A and just hope I get 2 of those guys, and one of them is, I hit on 2 of those players, and one of them is a legitimate, like even a low end RB wide receiver 1 or QB here. I think also it is appealing to me that I could get QB2 as how the community's feeling. I could get QB2 in this draft, who could be the 3rd overall pick at the 108. I guess never mind. It's a 1 quarterback, so probably not going to happen. But anyways, there's going to be 1, 2, 3. I'd be very shocked if there was less than 6 running backs taken in the first 2 rounds, plus all the receivers and stuff. But I think I'd lean side A. But
yeah, the 1 quarterback situation kind of devalues the picks slightly too.
It does. But again, like, just seeing how a lot of mock drafts are playing out, there's a good chance in the Superflex, no quarterbacks in the first 5 picks. So it doesn't really devalue the 105 too much. It could, but it potentially doesn't. The 108, maybe 1, maybe 2 guys. And yeah, that's a tough one. But that will be the last trade that we talk about. So we'll probably be doing this if we don't have team reviews. And
do the next one. I like the next one.
Okay, we do the next one here. We got a 14 team, and then we'll get to Bo Soxer's thought. 14 team, 2 quarterback, so not a super flex, 2 quarterback, half PPR, start 10, so 100. It's only 4 less players than a 16 team start 9, so it's just under a 12 team start 12. So we get AJ Brown, Kyron Williams, Trey McBride, Pacheco, or Jamar Chase. Go ahead, Brian, since you liked it.
Side A.
Started.
Easy. Yeah, I mean, you're locking up your tight end position, which obviously isn't like a premium here, but that's fine. McBride set it and forget it. I know you love Kyron Williams as being a value, and I think AJ Brown is, we've talked about him plenty of times. Like, it's basically those 3 players or Jamar Chase. Not that Pacheco's nothing, but like he doesn't factor in a whole lot in terms of comparatively to these other players, I think. So I think, yeah, I'm taking side A.
It is deeper, so you're getting one extra starter, and they're all legitimate starters, like you said. Pacheco will come into play if he's, what he was, in 2023.
Sure.
In this deeper. Dad, what side are you taking here? AJ Brown, Kyron Williams, Trey McBride, or Isaiah Pacheco and Jamar Chase?
Yeah, I got to go with A.
Yeah, me
Those
too.
are three players, 3 different positions, and they're all at the top, the food chain there for the most part. So Pacheco, the guy doesn't thrill me a whole lot. So,
it's boring when we all agree, but I agree with you guys. So what caliber? Like, what if we change Pacheco to Joe Mixon? Are we making that?
now there you got me leaning to the B side.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I don't really view them too differently. Like, I think, I think Pacheco is factoring in age and offense, I guess, is like the easiest way to put it. Like Mixon for another year. I mean, Pacheco maybe only for another year also, but
let's just assume Mixon. Let's assume Mixon is top 10 running back like he was this year. Like, that's how I would, I guess, if I'm making this trade, I guess I would assume Mixon's going to be that kind of guy for one more year, which I'll take that over Pacheco 3 years of RB24, even in this league. Does that slightly raise it up for you, or still no?
I still want the other side.
Okay, Chuba Hubbard.
Still A.
Christian McCaffrey.
Still A.
Damn.
I know.
Yeah, you can chime in too.
I had to think about that.
Yeah, I missed the last one.
McCaffrey
Instead of
and
Pacheco.
Chase.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I'd take B.
Yeah. I wouldn't argue against B. All right, Brian, are we getting Chase Brown? Does that change it for you?
No, I don't think so. Like, I think they're gonna. I like Chase Brown fine enough, but I don't know. He doesn't really do it for
Kenneth
me.
Walker.
He's you gotta see another year of him.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker. I already know your answer, Dad, because all these guys. Well, maybe not with Kenneth Walker, but
He ain't doing it for me.
Yeah,
no, Brian.
I'm looking at the list you're moving up. It's like, I think I'm gonna need
Jacobs.
I was gonna say, I think I need James Cook.
Are you definitely James Cook over Jacobs?
No, I think they're comparable. I'd rather have Cook. Just, I don't know. Josh Jacobs is still young enough. Yeah, I think either one of those guys would be fine.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm definitely side A, and I don't mind doing the McCaffrey and Chase side. Mixon, I'd be a little bit more hesitant just because I'm more convinced McCaffrey's going to be a top tier guy.
Both Sox.
Here's what I'll say.
Jacobs.
Yeah. I mean, he was awesome this year. And so was James Cook. Kenneth Walker is like the forgotten guy. Although, didn't Seattle come out and said they wanted to throw the ball more to him? But
he was hurt.
I don't know. They say a bunch of shit.
Yeah, well, new offensive coordinator. That's why.
Now we don't even know if he's a liar or not.
It's what's his face? Who was in New Orleans? Who what was it? Clint Kubiak. Yeah. Well, one thing I'll say as we finish up here, Kyron Williams. I think I didn't super investigate this, but over the last 2 years, I think he's been the best running back in fantasy. If you combine the last 2 years, I don't think anyone's been better than him. So Again, I didn't fully look into that. I just kind of looked at like Kyron Williams has been RB7 in total points the last two years, both 2023 and 2024, and no one ahead of him last year finished ahead of him this year. So I think that means he's been the best, and he was RB2 in points per game in 2023. By the way, like I just think he's kind of slept on. Like I think it's the 5th round pick, didn't do anything his first year. That's still kind of holding him down. Should he really be ranked lower than Breece Hall? Like, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, should Kyron Williams be ahead?
He's got 31 touchdowns in 2 seasons.
Like, yeah, I don't see that changing unless like they lose Stafford and can't replace him with a quarterback. So, but like honestly though, like why should Breece Hall be ranked higher than Kyron by only 2 spots? But Breece Hall's just less than a year younger than him. Obviously, he has the draft capital. I think the big thing with Kyron is the contract. Like this could be his last year for the Rams or something. So maybe that's
it could be the last year with the Jets for Breece.
That might be a good thing, though.
I know. Yeah, that helps. That helps. Not hurt.
It could be the last year, huh? Yeah. I don't know. I just think Kyron, I don't think there's been any running back better than him combined the last 2 years. And like, it's not even just like, oh, he was like a low end. He was RB2, and like only McCaffrey was better than him in 2023. So just a thought there. But yeah. Bo Soxer, thanks for hopping in. He says he's anxious to see how all the second-year quarterbacks will do next year. Yeah, me too. Caleb, definitely, I think there's going to be an improvement. Penix with another, a full year under his belt. Drake May continue to grow. JJ, a chance maybe. Yeah, I'm excited too. Bo Nix, 30-year-old Bo Nix.
He's right on. Yeah, 30-year-old. Who cares?
I know.
We don't give a shit. It's like I don't care how much they pay players. It ain't my money.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited too. I think that was a pretty amazing. I mean, last year's just rookie class was amazing. So you could have created a whole fantasy lineup and a bench with rookies last year. So, but we are going to finish up there. Appreciate everyone that stopped in. If you're watching on replay, you know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you're not subscribed already, join our Discord, which I will link one more time here. Join us Saturday morning. We'll be going live. I'll probably go live a little bit earlier tomorrow for like a rookie mock. I didn't do it Monday, so I think I'll do it tomorrow. And yeah. Any last words, guys?
Fuck Joe Mixon. No.
Yeah, we got another about 7-8 days, 8-9 days until the combine. So get to watch the underwear Olympics, everybody kind of running around. It's always interesting. We always hear good stuff. So you'll start hearing about guys getting cut and the salary cap, which we heard the big increase. So as free agency nears. So it's always good stuff.
Did you know that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be a Jet?
Yeah.
I'm making a joke at the guy that left a comment on our video. Like, it's like, dude, it's like, what do you think's more likely? We don't know that the Aaron Rodgers news or that we recorded it before.
Yeah, and
Take a minute.
Devontae Adams ain't going to be a Jet.
Take a minute to think about it. But anyways, appreciate everyone. Underwear Olympics. Yeah. And yeah, good night to you. And we will see you tomorrow as we keep chugging along.